On another subject, for summaries, put a summary of your story. We don't need some tags in an integer.
Yeah, okay.
Why is there a story? I found a story whose summary was the number 251.
How many of you have read stories that have had a summary that said, oh, I'm not good at writing summaries? Okay. If you're not good at writing summaries, you're not good at writing fan fiction! Summaries are one of the basic skills of fan fiction or any story writing. It's the ability to take what you have gotten and sum it up in a very short paragraph. If you are unable to get that through your mind, then that means that either your story is too wordy, or it might, not have enough description, or there's so many errors, it's just a gigantic warning sign that's like, oh my god, this person literally couldn't write one successful paragraph about their story. It doesn't have to say the whole thing. It doesn't have to, tell the whole story. It could basically be something that sums up the intro, and it would count as a good summary. Because
it could be a decent teaser about the story.
Yeah, because people here don't like spoilers. Come see Spoiler Panel at 1:15.
Yeah, in this room.
Yeah. But if you are basically incapable of writing a summary for your story, then you're probably not that good at writing stories. Really, take your time, do this. And I think people had questions. Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, I did have one. I had a question here. For basically, when it comes to writing a summary, and when it also comes to reviews, would you recommend reviewing other people's summaries as well as the stories? Because quite frankly, if you can tell them what you thought made sense about the summary that made them want to read the story, wouldn't that also be a very interesting piece of...
Emphatically, yes. This is something for all you fanfiction writers and readers and reviewers out there. If there's a story that you like or dislike, and the summary made it better or worse, or didn't tell you anything about it at all, criticize their summary. Tell them how to write a good summary, or at least tell them tips on what you think might make a better summary. Knowing how to sum up what you have written is a very good skill. And also, when you learn, here's the funny thing, less is more. There was something that I saw, I forget what TV show I said, but they were talking about realistic writing and realistic dialogue. And the interesting thing is when you're writing dialogue, and when you're writing anything, for that matter, a good practice is to start taking words out of the sentence and see if it still makes sense. And say you're writing a line of dialogue that's like, goodbye and I'll see you tomorrow, oh great friend, blah 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 blah. You start plucking words out of that line of dialogue, one after another, and by the end, when you pluck everything out, you just get later. And that's how people actually talk.
Or fuck off.
It works.
People actually don't talk in, extremely long, convoluted, hard to understand sentences unless they come to the New York Anime Festival and hold fanfiction panel.
People tend to talk in fragments.
So that's a good way, and so writing less is more, and writing summaries is a good way to learn how to write less. Were there other questions? I think oh, there you go.
Just to say something like, I'm a librarian and I write summaries for my job.
That's awesome.
And our guidelines for it should be one sentence and less than 240 characters, or 240 characters or less.
Twitter.
That's just saying, we decide what people want to read. And
Yeah, that's...
I also want to say, what do you think of song lyrics as summaries? Is random
What?
Really?
No.
Why?
Why? What purpose does it serve? Half the time you don't even know the damn song. Yeah. I've read so many fics with songs, and I'm like, what? Who are you?
I mean, one can use, say, lines of a song as titles of each chapter as a, clever sort of device. I've seen it in some actual decent novels. But you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, no.
But not on a summary. A summary should be a summary. It should tell you what's in the fic.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with a novel. You got to have a summary on the book that makes sense.
Here's a funny thing. Fan fiction is derivative, right? And that's something that we established right in the beginning. You know what isn't derivative? Fucking stealing. If you take a line of a song or a line from another book, which I've seen so many times, and use it as your summary, that's not your goddamn summary. That's someone else's line, you know? If you are the author, you are writing your summary. You have to explain your story. No matter how much you want to think about it, that song about that Evanescence did is not about you.
If you want to have something clever with a song at the beginning of your fic, don't put it in your summary, put it at the beginning of your fic.
Thank you for that one, guy. There's another question over here, I think. Yes? No?
Get to the gay stuff.
Okay, screw you. Get to the gay
Enough
stuff.
of the gay stuff.
All right.
You actually didn't talk about why fanfiction actually is good.
We didn't talk. Do you guys want to talk about do you guys want to talk about the gay stuff or
Gay
whether
stuff, okay,
or
gay
whether
stuff.
fan fiction is good?
Whether fan fiction is good.
Okay.
For everyone for the gay, raise your hand.
Okay. Everybody who wants to talk about why fan fiction is good or bad, raise your hand. Wow.
What the hell?
We're in the Bizarro world.
Convention.
Hang on. There was somebody who wanted to know why gay fan fiction is good.
Oh,
Does
really?
that count?
Do you want to? Who here wants to talk about why gay fan fiction is good?
Come on.
It looks like that actually.
We can merge.
You know, Robin's the person that usually talks about that.
We can merge.
We
We
do it.
can handle this on our own.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
gay is a subset of why fan fiction is good.
Okay. Thank you again for that one person clapping.
I like you for your one person clap.
Yeah, the one person claps are amazing. All of you guys are gonna have to do one clap in sequence at the end of it. But all right. So why is gay fan fiction good? Well, this is a derivative of why is fan fiction. Oh, we lost people.
Yeah, they don't want to hear about why
They don't want to hear about why gay fan fiction is good.
They want to hear about why fan fiction is good, and then afterwards they want to hear about the gay
Okay,
stuff.
so let's start with why fan fiction is good, and then we promise you we will get to the gay stuff.
All right.
We have
I'll make it
15
really
minutes.
short. I did a lot of research, and there's actually been a dialogue in major newspapers about the worth of fan fiction, and that there are certain experts that are writing articles saying that this is a skill that we will eventually utilize. First and foremost, to get it out of the way, online reading, like fanfiction.net kind of thing and that kind of stuff, is a tool that many people that are not at the age of computers being overrunning don't have, and they seem to be lacking in the corporate realm, where most of your training is 30, 40 pages of reading online and being able to discern information on a screen. With that said, which is actually they have a lot. There's actually some studies that are being done by that us as the fan fiction generation that is reading on the internet actually have this skill in abundance, and it's actually a more desirable skill getting hired. You can maybe one day say, hey, I read fan fiction, and you can get hired,
It's going to be a cool world.
Basically, online reading is a skill.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's different than reading books. It really is. It takes a different sort of mindset. It takes a different sort of concentration. And writing and reading fanfic actually helps to cultivate that skill. Like you said, there are many studies that.
Yeah. New York Times put out two articles in a row in 2008 about this, which we'll be talking about. Seattle Times starts talking about the actual digital and print. When was that?
Medium?
Somewhere in 2007. New York Post is putting out, we'll go into that later, but there's a lot of major newspapers that are really across the country in different regions, so it's not just, your tri-state area.
You're a nerd when.
Yeah.
So, and going on with that, there's other, they're doing research that's saying that that the actual development of derivative
Works.
literature is a useful skill, and when you're talking about critical thinking in the job realm. I mean, as I told before, I sold out to the corporate machine, so I actually see how these skills are actually being utilized by your middle management all the way up to the top as skills, and to comprehend what is actually a derivative, what actually is original, what is, how to utilize the information that you're given by your reports. And then secondly, we were in an age, that we were going down in a lull of people actually reading. We have all different kinds of distractions. We have TV, we have, interpersonal communications, we have video games. They're
Porn.
saying, yeah,
Porn.
Now, actually, they're seeing a surge in, I think they said, between 13 and 16-year-olds in literacy because of fan fiction.
Nice.
Well, and the internet.
Yeah, well,
5 people clapping.
well, I was saying more fan fiction in the sense that people, go in for like anime or manga and kind of stuff, but then they see that the fan fiction actually is of other works, sci-fi and some classics, and then they go and look up those classics that it was derived from. So it's a weird way that people are actually looking into the original works after they see something that they saw on fanfiction.net that was, a classic or, at least a good staple, of literature.
Yeah, imagine that. There are people now who are getting their first information about really important works of fiction, or even nonfiction, by reading the fan fiction and then reading the actual thing. How ass backwards is our society today? I mean, it's awesome, but it's ass backwards.
It is fun.
Yeah. So there's a surge in literacy and reading ability, but we're reading different things.
Yeah, like really, when it comes down to this, all these studies are saying that writing and reading fan fiction makes you smart. So stop being so dumb about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is really helping out. Like go.
There was just one more thing I wanted to tack on to it. What Mike was saying, that we're just reading different stuff. What makes something important and makes something good has changed from era to era. I mean, yes, literary merit, is a necessity to have something of worth. But what is that literary merit? Tap into a part of our psyche, the community, in humanity. So, I don't want to sound, kind of what is the word? Crazy. But
Do it.
yeah. The stuff that is, coming out there really, connects us, as the new society that's emerging. And, maybe in 50 to 100 years, some of your great pieces of fan fiction will be considered, a staple that needs to be read.
So